We had talked about some comment from the audience, but maybe we run past our 5 minutes. Maybe no one has anything to comment.
Sorry. Thank you. You started with a point that you're talking about your experiences that change or made you connected with the oceans, or what you do. We live in a world that's extremely disconnected from realities. Even though we talk about fishing and destruction of the oceans, we still go and get our fish in the supermarket. Children rarely go to the oceans or get to experiment. What can we, or your thoughts about how can we reach out to the children to experiment, to know? Because it's easy nowadays to go on Facebook, I care for this, I like that. Oh, I'm really concerned about this. But at the end of the day, it doesn't change much. We continue living the way we want to live.
I'm sure there's an ocean app.
Yeah, pretty much. How can we reach out to those kids and get them out to experiment and not really always focus on mathematics or other things like that?
When I turned 50 a couple years ago, I launched a strange expedition, a land expedition to all 50 states and U.S. territories to visit schools, to talk to kids, basically to donate multimedia presentations to schools about the oceans. And so I've been to Kansas, I've been to Barrow, Alaska, the northernmost settlement in North America, the U.S. Virgin Islands, and Georgia, and all sorts of places, heading to Philadelphia later in the fall. And it's been, I'll tell you, I think I'm learning much more from them than they are from me, because it's really opened my eyes to a real crisis that you put your finger on. There's a great book called Last Child in the Woods, Overcoming Nature Deficit Disorder, and I'm moderating a panel at Blue Vision Summit called Ocean Deficit Disorder on Sunday. But the concept is the same. We have lost these, even within an academic framework. We've lost field trips. I visited a school in Georgia that hasn't had a single field trip in 5 years. So having an experience with Mother Nature, whether it's the ocean or a forest or anything, having an experience with Mother Nature on her terms. In other words, not a Disney experience or a controlled museum experience, but something where it's unpredictable and wild and, yes, dangerous, perhaps. That's rare, a rare commodity. Unless you live in Alaska, these kids in Juneau are outside all the time. So you see these great differences in the day-to-day experience of kids. Even in Kansas, these kids are out hunting all the time. The Midwest really surprised me. As a person who's had very little experience in the Midwest, I was pleasantly surprised to see these kids are all nature kids. They don't realize it, but they're out there hunting and fishing, and they're very comfortable outdoors. But this is something we have to work on within the school system to get kids outside more, because they are growing up afraid of the oceans. They love the oceans on one hand, but at the same time, I see great fear, because they're getting everything they know about the ocean from TV. And there's great stuff on TV, but there's also Shark Week, and there's there's other things there that are freaking them out. I had 2 girls in Nebraska who said they didn't even want to see the ocean. And I said, "You don't even want to see it?" I said, "Why not?" Sharks. They looked at me like I was stupid. So this is something that I think will speak to the issue of love that Carl talked about, because I was 15. I grew up in Philadelphia. It wasn't too late for me. I jumped into the water at Blue Key in the Florida Keys, and it was all over for me. I fell in love that day. And these are the experiences that these kids need. The backup is for us to go to them, which is what I'm doing in this 50 states expedition. And what I realized, like when I went to Kansas, they hadn't had anybody visit that school from anywhere, I don't think ever. and it's not even like a veterinarian from Omaha or from, sorry, whatever that place was. Sorry, Kansas. I really like the
Kansas City.
Thank you, Kansas City. That's a safe choice. Yeah. But I mean, it goes to the notion that all of us have experiences that are unique to somebody else, and having people visit schools, whether they're a veterinarian, whether they're a scuba diver, whatever, you're real to those kids. They're growing up in a world where fiction and documentaries are delivered through the same screen, and it might be harder and harder these days to make a distinction between what's real and what's fiction, and being a human being in a room still is pretty real. So I'd say get these kids more experiences, whether you deliver them or you're delivering yourself to them, or you're delivering them to the edge of the water and pushing them in.
Well, on that note, I think we're going to wrap up. So. But we're going to hang around, so let's continue the conversation. Thank you very much.